Hey everybody, Tim Braheem, Performance Experts Coaching, Leadership 360 with another business and life tip for you. And today's business tip is also somewhat of a life tip, and it's on the subject matter of time management. And as we've discussed before, time management is really task management. And it's about getting really clear on our choices, our hell yeses and our hell nos, if you will. And when we start to take a look at things through that lens, we want to take a deeper dive into it and start looking at the reasons underneath the decisions to say yes to things that are a hell no. And as we've talked about before, more often than not, the reason that we say yes to things that we know we shouldn't be saying yes to doing is because of fear. We're worried that if we don't get engaged in the process, that somehow it won't go well. And this is a legitimate concern for many people. And it was a legitimate concern for a guy by the name of Ryan Morrow, who's not only a terrific loan originator out of the Lancaster area of Southern California at Sierra Pacific Mortgage, but he's also a great leader, and his business is growing substantially as a result of his implementation skills. He's in the Leadership 360 family, and he was offered a position to be in Leadership 360 back in the calendar year of 2014, and he chose not to be in that group because he just didn't feel that he could leave his business for a week and go down to Costa Rica with us on retreat, which is sometimes the concern of candidates that have been offered a spot in the program. And we talked very actively. He ended up being in the program a year later, but during the course of that year, I stayed in touch with him. We talked very actively about the fear that he had of walking away from his business. And one of the things that he did that was really intelligent was that he really sat with these concepts that I was teaching him and started to write down and take note of and log what his inner experience was when he was jumping back into a file, when he was afraid to leave the office and go out and prospect for business, when he was afraid to maybe even take a couple of nights away with his family and not check in. He started to really access, like, what am I really worried about? What are the things that I'm afraid of that will go wrong? And most importantly, what do I need to do as a business person to mitigate that fear? If I've got a fear that something's not going to go well because I don't have a tight team or a great system, or my referral partners are believing that they need to talk to me and nobody else on the team, and the same for my clients, we can either just sit with that belief and hold it and have it dictate and run our lives and really not have a lot of balance in our life. Or we could start looking at, well, wait a minute, is that really true? And is there a way for me to re-engineer that process? And to start to communicate proactively to my referral partners that I'm not the person to call on certain transactions. Well, Ryan really took this concept seriously, and over the course of about a year and a half, including his year in the Leadership 360 program, he really made huge strides with this concern of his. Let me tell you how huge. In the summer of 2016, so about midway through his experience in Leadership 360, he made a commitment in one of his goals within his business and life plan to take 8 days to take him and his wife and his children to Hawaii. And the hairy, audacious aspect of this goal was that he wasn't going to check in. So in those 8 days, he wasn't going to call the office. He wasn't going to check his email. He wasn't going to check his voicemail. He was going to be completely untethered to the business, which was a huge leap, okay, from a year and a half prior when he couldn't go to Costa Rica for a week to work on his business because he was deathly afraid of what the experience would be like. And it was through him working through these fears and putting safety nets, if you will, metaphorically into place to mitigate the fears, to properly empower his team, to coach his referral partners and clients on who they need to be calling during the loan process rather than just him, that he was able to successfully go for 8 straight days in the June of 2016 and never check in once, which was a huge, huge achievement. So really get familiar with the storyteller is what I'm trying to say. We all have a tremendous storyteller inside of our head, and it makes up a lot of stories. There's an old saying that I really love, which is, it's foolish to not win in your own fantasies. And what that really means to me is that if we're going to make up stories about how ugly it's going to get if we leave the office for a couple of days, or if we don't take that call and redirect it to our processor, we should probably make up a more healthy story, which is, it's certainly possible for me to get freedom and to re-engineer the way that I do business, and to test it out and see if the reality is as big as the fear that we're holding and the story that we've been telling ourselves. I hope that you find this to be a helpful business and life tip, and we look forward to bringing more to you soon. Hope you're having a great day and to your success. Bye-bye.